Okay, so now we are live. Okay, the question what I have received is on the Khandas. So before we begin on the Khandas, I had sent one video regarding the animal behavior with mirrors. So if we see that video, we'll find out how animals behave. They feel that they are seeing another, let's say it's a dog, it will see that it is having another dog and starts barking and all that. And similarly, different animal would do different things. And why do they do that thing? Because of delusion, moha. In their case, they don't know that it's their own reflection. They don't know that there is no one there except for their body getting reflected on the mirror. Whereas if you keep the same thing in front of human beings, humans will start to decorate themselves or try to adore their body and all that. So this is what a human being would do, be it a female or a male. And females would do much more than what a males could do with a mirror. The difference between a human and an animal is, in the case of human, the self is known. So they identify the self. So a child at 3 years to or 5 years, within that period, they know the self. So if like in the other video what I have sent, if you've seen some marking is made on a child, the child can observe and wipe it. Let's say a pen mark, an ink is put on that forehead, and then the child will try to remove that because it sees itself as a person. It sees the self. So the self gets made up at the age of 3 or 4 or 5. But if you give it to a toddler, an infant at below 1 year or below 2 years, they might not have that much of clarity on the self. So a fully developed dog or a chimpanzee or a monkey or any other animal, when it is fully grown up, it wouldn't know that it is itself. So it does 100 different things and it thinks that there is some kind of enemy which will destroy, or there is some predator or something like that, and it starts to fight. So this is the delusion. In the same way, the humans have the delusion of the self. Because when they see themselves in the mirror, they start seeing that it is I who is seeing it. It is my body. It's getting reflected. Now, how it is relevant in terms of Khandas? It is relevant in terms of Khandas to understand the anicca nature, in that where we have the nicca nature. So we have the moha or the delusion of standing in front of the mirror and feeling like it is myself. So I feel this is my face, and even though let's say there is a pimple, and I say that I've got a pimple, and after some time the pimple goes away, and I will say the pimple is gone. So as though I did something to get the pimple, and I did something for the pimple to go away. And similarly, the color of the skin to everything what we find in terms of color of the hair, and if it's a male, the mustache and the beard and all of that is part of identification. So there is rupa. So rupa consisting of 8 things there. So the first thing is the Pathavi earth element and the apo and tejo and vayu, which we can see it. If there is a Prithvi, then there is color, varna. So when we see earth element everywhere else, everywhere including the human body, we can see the color. But the being thinks that I am that color. So when a person stands in front of the mirror, he observes or she observes whether he or she is tan or is dark, or it is black or white, or fair skin, red skin, yellow skin, and like that. And the person believes that he is that indeed red skin, or he indeed is that yellow skin, or a fair skin, or a tanned skin, or something like that, or a dark skin. And then there is apo. So he himself feels that I am this apo. And the same thing, when he stands in front of the mirror, even though the saliva is coming, he thinks it is my saliva. If the urine is coming, he thinks that it is my urine. And let's say if the hairs are growing on the body, he thinks it is my hair which is growing on the body. And when there is apo, there would be rasa. And tejo, you'll have ojas, the nutrients, and vayu will have gandha, the smell. So the body has a smell, so we have developed a lot of perfumes to guard against the bad odor which comes. If the bad odor is coming from the mouth, we have the different kinds of products, mouth fresheners, which can temporarily inhibit that foul smell. If we have sweat smell, then we have different kinds of perfume which can do all of that. So basically, a human being, like in standing in front of the mirror, does not let go of that self. So he thinks, meaning the rupa, which is where we are at present. So he or she feels, I am this rupa, I am within this rupa, or I am part of this rupa, or this rupa is mine. So there is sakhaya in that rupa. And then there is a feeling. So when I stand in front of the mirror, there is a feeling of being tall, a feeling of being short, a feeling of being fat, and feeling of being lean, a feeling of being fair, a feeling of being dark, a feeling of being yellow or red or some color, something. And a feeling of rough hair, or a smooth hair, or a soft hair. Too much of hairs on the body, or less amount of hairs on the body. And each part of the external body, the person feels that it is my neck and my face and my ears and my nose and my teeth, and like that, every part of the body he feels. This is when the mind comes into existence, the feeling. So either he feels a very good feeling because he's tall or she's tall, and let's say she has or he has a very nice toned body. So the person feels that I am having a nice toned body, I have a beautiful body. And if it is nice toned, then it is dukkha. So then unpleasant feeling will start that my body is not that good looking. So when a person takes a selfie, he would like a person to comment, and they would like to have many of the thumbs up or likes. The more the likes, the better. And then people will comment, your hair looks so nice, your ears are like this, your teeth is like this, then your face is like this, and your lips are like that, and all of this pertaining to the body, there is a feeling, and there is a perception, sanya, whether I am tall, I am short, I am lean, I am fat, I am hard, I am soft, and I am dark, I am fair, I am intelligent, I am not intelligent, like that. So there is this perception. So feeling and perception is part of the mind. Depending upon the rupa, when I stand in front of the mirror, I adore my body plus the feeling and the perception. And then I do a lot of activities to maintain that mind and the body. The body in the sense of the rupa, and the mind in sense of the vedana and the sanya. And whatever I feel and I perceive, it becomes an experience, and that experience is provided by the vijnana. So when we look at the five senses, five khandas, this is what we can really observe. And the feeling will come from the sight and the sound and taste, touch, smells and thought, which is by eyes and ears and nose and tongue. Then the body and the mind. And they create appropriate feelings based upon the object. So the indriyas and the ayatana, that is the home for this indriyas feelings, comes into existence. So when we are talking about the khanda, we are talking about the 8 things of rupa and the 6 things of vedana and the sanya, the rupa sanya, shabda sanya, like that, the 6 sense objects perception. And then there is activities that are being done depending upon these objects through the intent, through the will. So those activities are the sankharas, and then we have 6 vijnana, the chakku vijnana and the sota vijnana. So the experience is provided from the eyes and the ear and nose and tongue and like that. Now when we see this image coming on to the mirror, instead of taking it as just Pathvi, Apo, Vayu, Tejo, or the 32 parts of the body, with these 5 aggregates, the person takes it as myself. So this is what the Upadana Khanda is all about. That is, I hold on to I in everything. So when I see myself in the mirror, and if I see somebody else in the mirror, this is nobody there at all. It is just the 5 elements and the 5 aggregates. Or if we take a 32 part of the body, 20 of Patavi Dhatu, or with solid quality, and 12 of Apo Dhatu, which is liquid quality. If with Dhatu as in quality, so if we take these 2 and we add up the 5 aggregates, that becomes a Puggala, person. So when I stand in front of the mirror and another person comes and stands in front of the mirror, the reaction here is that that is my wife, and that is my son, and that is my brother and sister and all that, which is like that monkey or like that animals which keep on making gestures based upon what they see on that mirror. So we do the same kind. We start talking, we get excited, then we get into arguments, discussions, and all of that. Not knowing that there is only the consciousness which is doing all of this. There is no physically a person, because the person is the 5 aggregates plus that 32 parts of the body. But I don't see it like that because of the moha. So as long as the moha is there, delusion is there, raga and dvesha is going to be there. Just like there are certain videos on YouTube with chimpanzees. So if you search for chimpanzee and mirror, you will get a lot of videos. You can check out those videos and you will find that the chimpanzee will start to jump, and some chimpanzees become so worked up, so hatred towards another chimpanzee. So what's the difference between a human being and a chimpanzee? In the mirror, in the case of a human being, he knows himself, so he will not do anything to another person unless the person provokes. Whereas in the case of a chimpanzee, as soon as it sees another chimpanzee doing something, it wants to grab, it wants to take its attention, but it is not able to pick that chimpanzee. So it gets agitated, it gets so worked up that it starts jumping up and down, hitting and doing all kind of things, because they don't know the self. Whereas in a human being, the self is known. I know the self because I can observe the self in the mirror. Now what should be done? That instead of upadana khanda, I should be only understanding the khandas. That is in everyone, just like that mirror reflection is not mine, is not me. So the asmimana, that is, there are 3 things. One is eso mama asmi, eso me atta. Eso mama, this is mine. Eso mama asmi, this has become mine. Eso me atta, this is belonging to myself. So when I stand in front of the mirror, the general opinion what I have is that this hair is mine, the lips are mine, the ears are mine, the eyes are mine. So I keep on mentioning it as mine. It's like I have owned it. It's my ownership. And nobody can take it away from me, even though I can see that it is going away. It's arising and going away. So the first thing how to remove the delusion is to practicing the anicca nature into this physicality, then the rupa part of it, and then coming to the nama part of it, the name and the form. So rupam anicca, vedana anicca, sanya anicca, sankhara anicca, vijnana anicca. What it really means is that when I stand in the mirror, I should be able to see for myself, the ear has changed, the hairs have changed, the lips have changed, the face has changed, and also every part of the body has changed. So if it is changed, means it has arisen sometime and then it has left, departed. And it is not going to come back in the same form. So if I am lean, in some time ago I was fat, and then again I have become lean, now I can become fat. If I exercise, I am lean. If I am not exercising, I become fat. But is it I who is becoming lean or fat, or is the body becoming lean and fat? It's the body which is becoming lean and fat, not me. So I have got nothing to do with the body. That means I can really first understand that it is not me. This is not myself. This body the face and other things are not myself. Let's say a small girl is there and the girl has developed, that means the body has developed the breast and other part of the body. And when she was a child, she never had any one of these. That means that body did not have any one of these. What if that girl now takes that this is mine, which is totally rubbish because it was never there. She never had it. It's the body which is growing, not that she is growing. But how we put it is that this person is growing. So that is where the problem starts, because this body is undergoing sankata, condition. It's conditioned by food. It's conditioned by what it should get. So the body starts developing in that way. And if that person exercises, its leanness can be seen. If the person doesn't exercise, the fatness can be seen. And then the tall and the short, it depends on their hereditary factors, not about the wishing that I want to be tall, I want to be short, or whatever it is, or I want to be of this color or that color. No, that is wrong. So it is anicca. If I were to hold that view, it is mine, then it is dukkha, because it is changing, right? It's completely changing. And it is changing every 4 hours with hunger. That means the patvi and the apo are going away. So I need to keep on refueling it. If I don't eat it, then the body becomes lean. It's not that I am becoming lean or I am becoming fat. It's a body which is becoming lean and fat. So I don't exist in this thing called as body. So nor it is mine. So the Sakkaya Ditthi is not there now, because I can see vividly that I am not growing, I am not shrinking, I am not doing anything. So when I see that, and then I come to the Nama portion of it, which is the Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. Now when I come to the Vedana, it is dependent on this body, the Rupa. So if I can see very well that the body is growing and not me who is growing, the anatta has happened, or the eso na mama has happened. Eso mama na mama asmi eso me atta. Out of these three, the first one is tanha, that is craving. So if I am getting rid of this craving and watching how it is growing, it's not I am growing it. It is growing based upon what is the seed there. It is not got to what I am wanting it to grow. If there is problem in the seed, the body also gets manifested in that way. If there is no problem in the seed, then it doesn't have that problem. Meaning, in the DNA or in the genetics, which we call as genetics, if there is a problem, if there are some underlying tendencies, then that genome or gene in me also has that defect. So that means the seed has a defect. So when it is growing due to consciousness, that defect might manifest if the proper environment is provided. And if the environment is not there, it might not come up. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does, but it doesn't have an environment. But when the environment is given, it manifests. So it's not that I am manifesting it or I am removing it. I don't have anything to do with that making it or not making it, and which we can see, just like I get a flu or I get a cold and all that. When I say I am getting it, it is the body which is getting it, not me as a person, because there is no person. I can't stop that flu from coming. I can't stop that cold from coming. And if the environment is not there, it doesn't come. It doesn't matter whether Somebody gets it or not, that environment is not there, what we call as immune system. So that means, did I develop that immune? No. So when we start looking at it, the Vedana becomes neutral. So adukkama asukha Vedana. That means I am not reacting, or this I is not there, and hence the Vedana is upekha. It's not going into the raga and the dvesha, because the delusion is getting removed by constantly reflecting on the anicca. And then we can see the dukkha, because the body is diminishing, and when the body diminishes, it automatically, the consciousness keeps on going away from the body. So even if we apply the second law of thermodynamics, and then we can see that it goes from hot to cold. That's how the nature works. So if we have a tea or a coffee or a hot beverages or hot water, after some time it turns cold. Similarly, the body turns cold. Its way of doing is to turn cold, but because of consciousness, it takes time to turn cold. That means the consciousness is like enthalpy, which will hold on for till the time the ayus or the life faculty is there. If that life faculty is removed, and then it turns cold immediately. Immediately in the sense that as soon as the consciousness goes away, the body starts losing the heat and it turns cold in no matter of time, which can be seen. It's not that the person went away, the consciousness went away. So when the consciousness comes, the body starts to grow, and when the consciousness goes away, the body stops growing. So when we see this like this, we can change the perception from nitya sanya to anicca sanya, because the dukkha is converted into sukha when I'm standing in front of the mirror, because in that I'm seeing the reflection of myself being there all the time, wife being all the time, the son being all the time, the daughter being all the time, everything is existing. So it's permanency. Whereas when we see that it's like that dog or a chimpanzee or any other animal howling or shouting over that mirror image, we are doing exactly the same thing with another human being, considering him to be a human being, because what we are seeing is the rupa, and what the person is bringing on board is the nama, that is the feeling, the perception and activities, and that's all what is happening. So when we see that, the consciousness, the vijnana, now starts to have panya rather than no panya at all. So we can develop the panya, that what is real. These five aggregates are not myself. And these five aggregates are not me or mine. Me, mine, myself, all the three are eliminated in stages. And hence we understand these five aggregates completely. And due to that, there is no upadan. So this is first question what I had received. So I hope this is sufficiently answered. And the second question about jhanas and concentration, how much is one separate from the other, or both are interchangeable concepts? I hear that the jhanas are actually not obligatory to reach Nibbana. Concentration and vipassana can lead to Nibbana no matter with what jhanas are attained. Now, one problem with Pali translation into English or any language, it loses its proper nature. So when we look at concentration, I guess this is something to do with samadhi, and samadhi is not concentration at all. It's from two words, sama and adhi, which means maintaining the same state. And in the Jhana Vibhanga Sutta and in many other suttas relating to Vibhanga, the definition is given on samadhi, samma samadhi, what it means. It means sthiti. Sthiti means maintaining a state. That's all. If you can maintain a state, then it is samadhi. There are two samadhis, miccha samadhi and samma samadhi. Miccha samadhi is you require that maintaining of a state for doing worldly activities. And proper samadhi, samma samadhi, is in terms of attaining jhana. So if you go through the eightfold path, the last one, samma samadhi, talks about what is samadhi. And he says very clearly to attain all the four jhanas. So now there is also a way out in not going through jhanas but attaining the Cheto Vimukti. So there are four ways of doing Cheto Vimukti, and that doesn't mean that one has to necessarily do the jhana. Jhana is one part of it, but that is again part of samadhi. Now when we say jhana, it is not closing the eyes and sitting, it is being aware of whatever is happening at each moment. So you need to have pajana, that is to know what is happening. So in the Mahavedala Sutta, there is an explanation on what are these four types. So the first type is through metta bhavana. With that you can achieve the vimukti. That means you apply the metta, then karuna, mudita, upekha, all the time maintain that state of existence, and in that you will find Cheto Vimukti. The second way of doing is by understanding Ragakhayo, Dosakhayo, Mohakhayo, Nibbana. So this is the Panya route where you don't have to go through jhana. And the third way of doing it is by attaining nothingness, akinchayatana. That means the chakku, sota, ghana, jiva, kaya, mano doesn't have any objectification. So this is the third kind. And the fourth kind is animitta samadhi, which is you go through all the 9 jhanas and then there is no feeling and perception. Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. So these are the 4 ways of attaining Nibbana. Okay, so now is jhanas and concentration are the same? In fact, to attain samadhi, you require jhanas. Without jhana, samadhi can never be attained. Meaning, you cannot maintain that state. That's all what it is. Samadhi means to have a state. So if you want a Cheto Vimukti, then you need to have or should have established the 4 rupa and the 4 arupa, and the 5th one of arupa, that is Sanya Vedaita Nirodha. But if I want to be in the samsara interacting with people, then I can go by the 4 ways. The one way with 4 types, that is the metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, to be in that state, or I can go into the akinchayatana, or I can then go into the ragakhayo, dosakhayo, mohakhayo, nibbana. That means when I see an object, I just see. When I hear an object, I just hear. When I taste an object, I just taste. When I smell an object, I just smell. And when I touch an object, I just touch. And when I think an object, I just think. Dite dite mattan, sute sute mattan, mute mute mattan, vinyate vinyate mattan. So if you read Bahya Sutta, very clearly Buddha explains what it means to be Nibbana all the time. So while we interact with people, just like not doing like what that dog does in the mirror, if I am able to see that there is no person there, it is just the Pathavi Dhatu and the Apo Dhatu, then the Cheto Vimukti happens. Then I can see just the seeing, because I'm seeing only the Pathavi and the Apo Dhatu. Hearing the sound, because there is space and there is sound. Okay, so Dite dite mattan, sute sute mattan, mute mute mattan, the touching. So touching through the nose, touching through the touch, through the body, and touching something through tasting. All these three, I can just be that, not creating a mind which is Vedana and Sanya. So there are no sankharas to be done. So when I don't do any sankhara, it becomes perfectly all right. Then the Samadhi is established. Okay, so Samadhi definition is, in English, is maintaining a steady state rather than concentration. Concentration gives a very bad meaning, because it is not that you are concentrating on something, and that is not Samadhi. Just like there is a problem with ekagata translating into ekagrata, which becomes one-pointedness. You are not going for one-pointedness, it is oneness. You are one with everything. There is no separation, there is no individuality, self. That is not there, and hence you are ekagata. Not that you are one-pointed and you exist and then one-pointedness also exists, and that is not the way to be. That's a problem with English or any language without knowing its true meaning. In the same way, Samadhi also has the same problem. It is maintaining the same steady state, just like a painter maintains a steady state, not getting distracted with anything else which is happening and the painting is being done, or a flutist or a guitarist or somebody who is playing the notes without getting distracted. In the same way, you maintain the same state, and when you maintain the same state, you naturally attain the 4 jhanas. But it is Michcha jhana, it is not Samma jhanas, which is part of Samma Samadhi. So in the Samma Samadhi, you will have all the 4 jhanas which are not sensual based. There are many suttas which talks about jhana. There is no sutta which says that you should not be doing jhana. There is no sutta like that. In fact, every given sutta, he ultimately brings to jhana. If you go to Chula Shunyata Sutta, Mahasunyata Sutta, then if you come to Samanya Phala Sutta, then if you come to Jhana Suttas, there are many of them, and then he explains what he was doing himself, how he attained all that. And if you come to Moggallana, and he talks about how he attained liberation through jhana. And if you come to Sariputta, he also explains that. So it would be not appropriate to say that, oh, jhana is different and samadhi is different. No. And in the Samma Samadhi, it is about 4 jhanas only. So I have no idea how this confusion can come about on why jhana is different and the samadhi is, samadhi is different. Secondly, the vipassana or vipassana is investigation. So when you are in samadhi, you are in vipassana. That's all. So if we have, out of the 7 bhujjangas, if we have the second bhujjanga, which is Dhamma Vichaya Sambhujjanga, in that it is samadhi. And in the samadhi, you have vipassana or vipassana. So you can refer to Samadhi Sutta, or you can refer to the definitions. It is indicated in the Vibhanga section of the Khuddaka Nikaya, and you will find what is the meaning of Samadhi or Vipassana. It is explained, that the definition. So it's better to go through the definition of it, and you will find that it is part of Samadhi, includes also Dhamma Vishaya. Knowing investigation about the Dhamma is what Vipassana is all about. So after Sati Sambhojjhanga, it is Dhamma Vichaya Sambhojjhanga, Virya Sambhojjhanga. So you have to put in the requisite energy to rouse that depth of experience, and then you get Piti Pasiddhi, and then you come into Samadhi Sambhojjhanga with first, second, third, fourth jhanas, and get into the fourth jhana, which is Upekha. So you get into Upekha Sambhojjhanga. So then you have done what you're supposed to do in each of the 4 stages or 8 of it. So you get Sotapanna, Anugami, and then you become Sotapanna, and then you become Sakadagami, Anugami, and then you become Sakadagami, then you get Anagami, Anugami, and then you become Anagami, then you get Arhat, Anugami, and you get Arhat. So these are the 8 from Puggala. So I hope I have properly put in place about the 2 questions, and I really like the question, and in case if you have any further questions, you can ask me later without any issues, and I should be able to answer. That's all I had on this subject. Preeti and Swati, any questions?
No, very nicely explained.
Okay, thank you.
No questions I joined yet, but maybe if it is recorded, I will hear it.
Yes, it is recorded. It is very much recorded. It is there. So this is what the Khanda is, and this is what Samadhi is, and this is what Jhana is.
We can go by these 2 set of vibhaktis. If these jhanas are difficult, no?
Yes, you can. Yes, for why the jhanas will not work, because of the 5 hindrances. The Kamachanda, Vyapada, Thinamida, Udacha, Kukucha, and Visikicha. See, these are the 5 hindrances which will not allow you to get into jhana. And also the major problem is on the senses and the sense object. So unless we stop the senses moving into the sense object, which is explained in many suttas on the senses and sense object, and not having the Samadhi as explained by Sariputta in the Samadhi Sutta, it becomes difficult to be in jhana, because it will not allow you to be in the jhana at all. So the samadhi will not happen. So sila, samadhi, panya, the sila is the primary thing. So we have to remove the dasa akusala dhammas in that, and then the samadhi gets established, which helps in getting the panya. Otherwise, the panya will be there not for a long time, or the samadhi will be there not for a long time. And the sila breaking is the one which causes problem in the samadhi and panya. So the first thing we need to do to be in jhana, whether you want to go by the metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, the 4 Brahma realms or Brahma viharas, if you want to go by the Brahma vihara, or you want to go by ragakhayo, dosakhayo, mohakhayo, nibbana, or you want to go by the akinchayatana, or you want to go by all the 9 jhanas. Whichever way you want to take that, first we have to cleanse the mind through dasa akusala removal. That is a primary. And then the second step is to remove the attachment to the sense objects. So that has to be removed. And the third one is to work out on the hindrances. And when all the 3 works, then the sila is completely established. Sila includes all the 3. So when this happens, samadhi also happens and panya also happens. And that is the basic reason why I sent that video. If you see that video, it's a 3-minute video, you'll see that 2 chimpanzees, they have taught them, and it is able to recognize. The woman, that chimpanzee is able to find the scar or the painting what they have put, and the male one at that age it's able to find out. But in the child of 2 years it is not able to find out, but a child of 4 years is able to find out that there is something on the face. So we can find the self, whereas the other animals cannot find the self. They can find something is happened, but they really don't know the self. But in the human being, human know his self. He or she knows, I'm myself. I am so and so. So that is known. So we put nama and rupa to make things happen. So once the nama and rupa is gone, it's very easy to manage. Then the reaction to the world is not there. Okay, then we can meet tomorrow with another subject.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night. Namo Buddhaya.
Namaste.
Namo Buddhaya. Bye.